Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is Jack Gibson. Thanks for being on the show, Jack.
Yes, thank you, Whitney. Excited to be here.
No, I'm glad to have you on the show. Jack began his entrepreneurial journey at 19. He founded his first company at the ripe old age of 21. Wow, that's awesome. Get started at that age. Operating a successful nutrition and consulting and distribution company, he had built a multi-million-dollar venture before he was old enough to rent a car. Wow, that's impressive. But soon thereafter, he bought his first home as an investment. One quickly became five, and then the bug hit. He became obsessed with learning everything about real estate investing and soon had over 50 investment properties generating passive income. Today, Jack spends his time mentoring other entrepreneurs, building a real estate investment portfolio, and helping other investors to build a brighter future through the power of turnkey real estate income. So, Jack, give the listeners a little more about where you're at and where you're from and what your focus is right now.
Yeah. Well, right now where I'm at is, and I think of this in terms of the reason why we want to play the real estate game is to create lifestyle. So I'm with my family at the Outer Banks in North Carolina. I've never been here. It's unbelievably beautiful. And I was just throwing a bunch of kids around in the pool. And then I get out, run up, say, yep, let's hit it. Let's just do the podcast, do some real estate. And then I'll go back to throwing them in the pool again. And, it's all about being able to design and create an extraordinary life. And that, as one of my mentors, the great Jim Rohn, said that it doesn't happen by chance, it happens by design. So when you're looking at what you're going to do in real estate, right, it's all about like thinking about, okay, what am I really after? So for me, my end goal was always passive income. That was it. Total, like all in, I want to create passive income so that I can do whatever I want when I want to do it. So I started in business, entrepreneurialism back when I was 19. I started a nutrition company as a distributor in a nutrition company. And so I was working actually selling product out of my dorm room and built that. It took a couple of years to gain some traction, but by around my junior year, I was making more money doing that than my college professors. And it was crazy. I got a C in marketing class, right? And I had a marketing $1 million business going. Still to this day, I don't know. I don't understand what happened, what went wrong there. But when I got out of college, I just continued to build that business. It's grown over the years. It's still to this day an incredible opportunity business. And then I was looking for a place to invest my excess cash. It's what Robert Kiyosaki said in the Rich Dad Poor Dad series of books: build a business, create excess cash flow from that business, and then invest it into real estate. So that's when I started looking into real estate about, I'd say 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow. Okay. But, how did you have the confidence to jump into the entrepreneurial journey at 21? You're in college. You mentioned you're a junior and you're making more at this business, than your professor. But I didn't have really I wasn't raised around entrepreneurs, and so it was kind of eye-opening when I started learning about just the possibilities that are out there. What was that for you? Did you have a mentor or coach when you were a teenager, or what gave you, or was it just that you've seen an avenue here to create some wealth?
My uncle was very entrepreneurial. He had 3 businesses. I mean, he had farmed 500 acres. He had a tent table chair business. He had an insurance business. And he was wealthy. I mean, when he passed, multi-millionaire. So I think that he rubbed off on me quite a bit. And then my mom, she taught me like the good old fashioned farm work ethic. She had all these, sayings that she would like drill into me about, how hard work pays off. Many hands make light work, and all these different sayings. And so when I put the two together, it was just a really powerful combination. I had I had the wealthy, rich, dad, so to speak. And then I had my mom that was giving me the fundamentals to be successful, at a young age. So that's really probably how it all started. I knew that I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know that it would kind of hit me that quick, but when opportunity knocks, like you gotta jump on it. And at that time, for whatever reason, I was just, it was just the right time. I was ready to go.
Wow. So, but you operated, I guess, another business, but then it was, what did you say, 4 or 5 years ago that the real estate bug hit you, that then, you really knew that real estate was something you wanted to pursue.
Yeah. It was a couple very frustrating events that happened. I bought a stock, and we were writing options, and I was making really good money, and it was in oil. Actually, it's called Interoil. And I was doing really well. My financial planner was, we kept writing the options on it, and it kept making money. And then one day it just dropped like a rock, and it wiped away everything that we had just, worked for, all the gains over the past, 24 months. And then another episode happened where I bought a stock, and knowing, I knew that the company's sales were strong. I knew it was going to be a great, quarter earnings call. And another hedge fund manager called in on the earnings call, David Einhorn, and he's notably for, shorting stocks. Well, he asked 3 questions that indicated that he was shorting the stock. The stock plummeted, and I just bought up a bunch of it. And I thought to myself, what am I doing playing this game where I have no control over any of these types of outcomes? I don't want to play this roller coaster game the rest of my life. I just don't. So I wanted to learn the game of real estate so that I understand that the variance level of how it, real estate works. If you buy right and smart, then, you can pretty well predict what you're going to make on that investment. Of course, we know things are variable, vacancies and maintenance and repairs and CapEx, of course, but we can also be predicting those and allocating for those in our future projections, so that when they do come, they're not like, oh, wow, surprise shock, right? I have all these expenses. So I wanted to play this game because I wanted to have something more stable and that I could count on each month and be in control of, not be at the whims of somebody else.
So tell me about moving, from those 5 investments to the 50. How did you grow? What was that thought process then? And, what was that time frame like?
I used a lot of different avenues. I did a home equity line of credit and pulled out a bunch of funds out of our house that had gone up in value very quickly. I borrowed some private money from a couple wealthy guys that I knew. What else? I make good money in my own business, so I used my own cash to buy. Then I did a cash out refinance. So that pretty much, on 15 units, that I got all the money back out plus then some. So then I just, used that to buy more property. So it was a combination of different things that I did. And it happened pretty quick. And then it was right around that time where I started buying up that I started selling too, because I was so excited about the returns. So I started selling the properties as well as, buying up my own portfolio. And that created a lot of cash to where I was able to buy more faster. So in our first 12 months, I sold like $5 million in cash deals, transactions closed. And that created, some nice income to where I could parlay that into more buy and hold.
Nice. So you grew your business quickly. You learned this real estate game, getting out of the stock market, and which I obviously think is a great decision.
Right.
But so what do you see now? Now you're doing a lot of turnkey, and how do you see this business growing moving forward?
Yeah, we definitely have tightened up our processes quite a bit over the last 12 to 24 months. When I first started buying up property, it turned out the original supplier, like the first guy that I bought from and met in the Indianapolis market, he turned out to be rather unscrupulous. And so there was just a lot of things that were hidden from us. There were fake leases, fake rents being paid out, rehabs that weren't, really being done or done at any sort of quality. So we had to end up going back and investing a lot of money back into those properties once the wheels came off to, to fix, the mess that we we were given, probably attracted somehow, right? So I don't believe, I take full 100% responsibility for everything that happens in my life. So I'm not going to blame somebody else, right? But at the same time, anything bad that happens to you, I mean, you can turn that into a good thing if you look for it, and enough time goes by where you can look back and see what the lesson that you needed to learn. But it really caused us to just look at our model and just really, really like tighten it up, and to make sure like this sort of stuff never happens again. So we do double inspections on all of our properties. We do one when we acquire the property. We do one once the rehab's completed. And for two reasons. Number one, to keep our construction teams honest, because if you give them too much, you give them too much, they'll start taking it, and then they'll start to kind of like, do less and less quality of work. So we want to make sure that, hey guys, we know what you're doing. Here you go. Here's a third-party independent inspector. They're coming in, and they're going to show us what quality of work you're doing. If you want to keep getting jobs from us, like these reports, when you're done, better look pretty darn good, right? And then the other part of it is that we wanted to get ahead of the game with our investors and be fully transparent. Not every investor, not every investor orders an inspection from us. And we know that isn't even has in the past, and that's even caused problems, because then if something goes wrong later, then they're going to come back at us, even though they didn't order the inspection, right? So we want to make sure that fully transparent, they know everything about the property, third-party independent, like I said, independent inspector, not on our payroll. And we want to provide that up front to them so that when they buy the property, it's a much easier, more streamlined buying decision.
That's interesting to have the two inspections. I mean, I know that's something that we could even apply just as returning units, or, even if it's not, like you said, us, somebody on our payroll, but to have a third party that's going to go behind the contractor just to ensure that we've got what we paid for. Right. I mean, if we're turning over, 100 units, 200 units, then obviously that just, it's very repetitive. But I can see, just sometimes the value getting less, right? After that many units. And so I like that. And we've had, we'll do other inspections, but I like the idea of having a third party as well.
Yeah, it's really been a game changer. We always, go back to, I think it was the great President Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. So that's what we're trusting that you're going to do good work because we're hiring you, but we want to verify exactly what you actually did.
So tell me about your team.
We have, so there's two partner companies. So there's High Return Real Estate. We're the sales and marketing, and we provide all the financial capital to be able to acquire all the properties. And our job is really to market and sell the properties. And then Urban House is our sister company. Those two are, so Shecky, Jeff Schechter, a.k.a. Shecky, I think he was on your show. He and I are the partners in High Return Real Estate. And we definitely have very distinct personalities, which is awesome. Like, we complement each other very well. And then Urban House Property Management Group, they do all the acquisitions, the rehabs, and the property management. And so the two of us, we're totally intertwined. I mean, it might as well just be one company because we're producing and selling the product all together as one team. And then we have 2 office girls, and then we have 8 construction teams that we deploy out to rehab properties and do maintenance. So it's pretty nice operation. I mean, not a gigantic company, but we can definitely, we're producing anywhere from right now 10 approximately new properties per month.
Wow. That's a good system if you're doing that many. So did you all know that you had these complementary skills before you partnered?
Well, Shecky was my digital marketing coach from my nutrition company. That's how we first met. he was in Austin, and I live here in Michigan, and we met through some, Facebook advertising where they were marketing their company's, consulting and digital products. So I got to see like the way his brain thinks, and I knew it definitely was more systematized, more procedural, more organized, and he's very in tune to details. My personality is more like, what do they say? Ready, fire, aim. I think I fire, and then I get ready, and then I aim, right? So like, I'm just like, let's go, let's get this done. And it's not, I think much more like, I think he thinks big picture, but I can see maybe how all the component parts of the whole picture kind of come together. And the personnel was able to help. I put together almost all the team together that we have currently. So yeah, it's pretty phenomenal partnership when you can complement each other like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Very important that you don't have the same skill sets.
Right.
Yeah, awesome. So, what about, as far as being able to grow, are you all happy with your growth where you're at now? Are you planning to do larger deals? Are you planning to increase your team? What does it look like years down the road?
Well, how much money is enough? Just a little bit more. How much growth is enough? Just a little bit more, right? So we're definitely not satisfied by any stretch with where we're at. We understand in this game, like, systems are, in order for us to scale, like, systems are, it's everything, so that's what we're really trying to dial in, even more is, when you have two different companies still that are working together, we're not always dialed in together. So we're just really trying to work at how do we dial in so that it's a smooth, seamless transition, from each of the stages of the property, post-sale issues that are come up inevitably on properties to take care of our investors. How is that going to flow more seamlessly to provide, continually trying to strive to provide a more seamless experience for our investors? And we keep getting better. Just last week, we hired a VA, Jade. She's incredible. She calls all the tenants in C-class, which you need to stay on top of C-class tenants. They definitely they need a little bit more hand-holding than some of the other tenant classes. And there's incredible yields in this particular class, but you really got to be on top of collections. Well, she calls and texts the tenants every single day if they're late until they pay. And that's our collections best they've ever been since she started. So we're looking at things, just like that we can do, that we can add in pieces to keep getting it better. But overall, I mean, our goal ultimately, we want to be at 20 deals every month that are, completed, gone through all the processes, leased up, performing assets, and closed transactions. And we got a long way to go to be able to hit that.
Wow. Well, I was going to ask you what's a way that you've recently improved your business that we could apply to ours, but maybe you would say hiring that VA.
Yeah.
But, is there any other way that you've improved your business or anything that's been a big help or game changer recently?
Okay. So we instituted a 32-point checklist with our rehab teams, but better than that is that they all have an iPad. So when they're out in the field, they just check the iPad off of what the scope of work that they did on the property. And then once they hit complete, automatically uploads that into our investor folder. So now that, getting sometimes pieces of information out from the field, especially contractors, can be like pulling teeth. It's very, so it could be very, it doesn't sound like it should be difficult, but it really is, because they're out, they're out solving problems and they're grinding and they're the myriad of things that are thrown at them throughout the day. I get it. But at the same time, in order to keep the funding going and to sell properties, like, we need this piece of data, right? So we were just trying to figure out how to get this flowing more seamlessly from them in the field to us in our investor folder, so that boom, like we can submit that and be transparent to our investors, because they all want to see the scope of work, what was done to the property. Look, what am I looking at CapEx wise, right? So that was another, I think, pretty small, but significant type of change that's really helped.
What is there a specific program you use to create to do it electronically and it automatically share it to a shared drive?
Yeah, it's a program called Monday. It's a software.
Task management software.
Yeah, exactly. Task management. You're right. And I don't know the tech side. That's Colin's side of it. So he programmed it somehow to where it just uploads right into that system. And I don't know how he does it. It's like magic to me. So.
As long as it works, right?
As long as it works, that's right.
What's your best advice for caring for investors?
The best advice for, I'm sorry?
Caring for your investors.
Caring for them?
That's right.
Well, I think that, we look at this game as we know that ultimately that the investors' ROI is that's what matters, right? They want two things, an investor. They want, number one, they want the ROI as high as they can get it, right? They want consistency with the ROI. They don't want a massive up and down, and we get it. We understand that. We feel the same way. That's what we want to deliver. And then they want communication. They want to know like what's going on, if anything that's going on their properties, right? So, we're hiring, additional staff in order to beef up communication. We're instituting, in addition to like what we talked about with Jay doing collections, implementing other procedures to try to improve, and smooth out the performance. And we're upping the parameters of all of our tenant base in terms of what they need to do to be able to qualify, to be able to, rent out our properties. Again, in C-class, you can't be too strict, or your property will sit vacant for months. So there's a fine kind of middle balance that you got to really make sure that you're cognizant of, and that you're kind of playing the game in the middle, not letting any warm body, but not, expecting a perfect credit score either, right? So, and then ultimately, I think if you care about the experience of the tenants, then the investors will get taken care of. So everything kind of goes down to making sure that the tenants have a good quality, functional property, that you're on top of them for, making sure that they hold them accountable to pay their monthly rent. And if the tenants are happy and they're getting a, functional house that's nice to live in, they're going to keep paying their rent. Boom, investor ROI is going to be consistent. They're going to be happy. Everything works, right? So we have two clients. We really do. We have tenant clients and we have investor clients. So we have to balance, the needs of both.
That's right. And so, Jack, what's the number one thing that's contributed to your success?
Teams. So both companies, nutrition company we're probably on track for 12, 13 million in sales in that business this year, not this month. That does about $1 million plus a month in sales. And the whole key to that is the team that I put around me. They're awesome people. And all of them have different skill sets, personalities, competencies in other areas than me. But really, I think in high return real estate and what we put together with this company, it's the team. And so I feel like there's a lot of things I'm not really good at that I don't understand how to do. I'm not technologically inclined, but I know how to put the right person, I feel like, in place to get the job done. So you've got to be able to look at all the different component parts of what your team that you need to have, and then empowering them and giving them the latitude to do what they do best. Also making sure that they have financial compensation or financial, the reward is going to be worth the effort that they put in to be a part of your team. So yeah, teamwork all the way. That's the only way to scale up a great company.
Jack, I really appreciate your time today. You've been a fantastic guest. But before we go, tell the listeners how they can learn more about you and get in touch with you.
Yeah, it's our website is highreturnrealestate.com. It's got everything there about our company. We put some videos on there. Actually, we just recorded a new Webby that explains, the overview of what we do. If anyone is interested in, looking at the properties that we offer, we typically, as of right now, this recording, it could change as the market continues to get, more and more competitive. But our properties are, typically netting out around 10 to 11% cash flow. That's on a pure cash purchase, not with leverage. Obviously, with leverage, we know that will be boosted significantly. So we provide. That's why we're called high return real estate. We're providing high returns to our investor base, and so if they're interested in looking at our properties, go book a call with Nicole. She's the head of our investor relations, and you can find her right on our website and book a call right there.
Awesome. Thank you again, Jack. I appreciate your time today.
Thanks so much for having me, Whitney. It was a pleasure to be on your show. Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.